Hi, it's Mark from Top Local. We're here with Bernie Pawlik, Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver, and we're talking cars. How are you doing this morning, Bernie?
Doing very well.
So winter's coming in Vancouver. Believe it or not, it's getting cold. We know the snow will come. What kind of tire options should I be looking at for my vehicle?
Well, there's a few ways you can go. I mean, Vancouver, if you're not familiar with our climate, it's pretty temperate. I mean, it does go below freezing. Sometimes a few years ago, we had snow on the ground for about a month, which is highly unusual. Often we won't have any snow, or there'll be one snowfall. And usually when that one snowfall happens, and if it happens before the new year, everyone's lined up in front of tire shops. It's front page news, and it's exciting because everyone waited to the last minute because they didn't think it was going to snow. So Vancouver's funny that way. You go to any other place in Canada, people have already had their snow tires on for a long time, and they're prepared for winter because they know it's going to happen. So Vancouver, there's a few different snow tire options. I mean, you can not put snow tires on, and that might restrict when you drive your car, or you can go with a couple of different options. There are all-weather tires, and then there are full winter tires, the full snow tires, I like to call them, that have the snowflake or M+S emblems on the side of the tire.
So what's the difference between an all-season tire and an actual winter tire or snow tire?
Well, all-season tires are meant, they call them all-season, so you'd think, well, great, they're good for the snow and they're good for everything. I think they used to be sold like that, but as time has gone by, we've realized that they're really not that good in the snow. They're good for rain. They're good for, they're basically three-season tires. But once snow hits, they're not that good. The rubber compounds are harder and firmer. Softer rubber is better in snow and icy conditions, and that's what snow tires have. Also, all-weather tires, they have a combination between a soft rubber and a durable rubber, so you have the best of both worlds. So those are really a four-season type of tire. And I was going to talk a little bit about history of snow tires because, for people like us who have, a fair bit of gray on our heads and, beyond 50 years old, we kind of remember the days when a lot of cars were rear wheel drive or front wheel drive only. Now there's a lot of all wheel drive, but, when the traditional days of rear wheel drive, people who did put snow tires on would just put them on the rear driving wheels, and they'd leave their, regular tires on the front. That was kind of the traditional thing to do, or maybe put some chains on the back. And it was all about getting traction so you could move forward in the snow. And not a lot of consideration was given to how does the car actually handle. But nowadays, of course, we always use four tires on the vehicle because tire technology is really improved to the point where you can actually get much better handling and much safer handling with that kind of, with having four tires. Also with ABS brakes now, which every car has, you get better stopping ability because you have evenness. So the key is to having same rubber compounds all the way around, and the car will stop better as well.
So just to make the point again, you don't just put snow tires on the driving wheels?
No, I mean, there might be places if you're somewhere in the deep north where there's, a crazy amount of snow and there's not a lot of people on the road. Maybe you do that, but I think that really, I can't imagine anyone doing that. At least where we are, it's always all four wheels. So yeah, that's an ancient practice.
So with that point clarified, what kind of options do I have as far as snow tires or all seasons?
Yeah. So I mentioned the idea of you could just leave your all season tires on. If you're only driving, say for Vancouver, you're only driving around the city, you could just leave your all season tires on. You might find though that when it snows out, depending on the kind of car you have, you may not be going anywhere in a hurry. So that's something, if you're willing to just say, hey, you know what, if it snows, I'm going to park my car, fine. But if you're going to do any driving, you're going to be driving if it snows, and it very likely will, or you're going to be going over any roads that require snow tires, and there are a lot of them around this area, highways leading out of town. Or if you live anywhere outside of Vancouver, which a lot of people do, and you're in a mountainous kind of area with snow, well, you're going to need to, you should have some winter or snow tires on the car. A, you may get fined, and B, you simply may not go anywhere. So that leaves you two options: all-weather tires, which I'd mentioned a little earlier, which are like a four-season type of tire. You don't have to take them off the car; you can leave them year-round. Or pure snow tire, which you would change seasonally. You put the snow tires on, obviously, in the winter, take them off, and use your all season or summer type tires in the summer.
Okay, so if I go with the winter tire option, I need to switch them over every winter season and back in the spring. Is it better to get dedicated rims for those tires, or is switching them back and forth okay?
Well, you can switch them back and forth certainly, but I think dedicated rims are really a great way to go. It's the initial investment, of course, is heftier. You have to buy a set of rims, and a lot of people opt for the sort of steel wheels, which look kind of, in my opinion, a little ugly. But so if you're willing to have your car look ugly for for a few months, you can always buy a fancier wheel too if you want. But it's a lot better. The initial investment is more money, and but down the road it's cheaper because you pay much less money for mounting and balancing your tires. Plus, it's not so hard on your rims. I mean, every time you take a tire on and off a rim, you're rebalancing it. You're causing wear to the tires and to the rims. So over time, it really does pay off. As I say, it's an investment, but it's the better way to go.
So is there any reason why you would just go with winter tires and just keep them on instead of switching
Well,
between the
no, you
seasons?
would never do. If you leave a winter tire on during the summer, the rubber compounds are very soft and they can start wearing really funny. Now, I have seen the odd person do it, and sometimes they get away with it. And I've had some other people with cars where, by the time July hits, the tire treads are worn in the wonkiest patterns because just the heat of the road just basically destroys the tire. So if you have winter tires, if you need to change them. But this is where all weather tires come in. So the all weather tires are basically, as I was saying earlier, that it's a combination tire that has good handling in the snow. They're actually rated as a snow tire. They have that mountain and snowflake emblem on them, so they're a legal snow tire, and they handle well in the snow. But they also have the rubber compound is such that it can handle the heat as well. So it's a really awesome compromise. And the thing about that's great is you don't have to mount and dismount them. You buy them one time. You don't have to worry about storing your tires anywhere. So that's a really good option to consider as well.
Any disadvantages with those kinds of tires?
Well, they're not as good. So they're not as good in the snow, and they're not as good for durability. So that's the disadvantage. And so they're going to wear out faster than a traditional all-season tire. But so you're paying a little bit more money, but you're also saving a lot in the interim. So it really depends on what you want to get out of your car. But I think all weather is a really good option. I mean, I've used them on cars I've owned myself. I think it's a really good way to go.
So how do I know when my snow tires are worn out?
Well, I mean, typically tires that there are wear bars on tires, and once the tread is worn down to that wear bar, the tire is legally worn out. Now, you don't want to go that far because typically tires they start to lose their handling ability way before you get down to that point. I mean, usually, when the tire treads say at like 30-40% range, you'll notice a deterioration in handling. The car will slip and slide a lot easier, and with a snow tire, that's even more pronounced. So good tread depth is key for snow tires. So you do want to have them at least 40%, I would say, for optimum snow handling. You can have the tires measured, as you go by, but I'd say when their treads are down to like 4 or 5 millimeters, you're pretty much, and they start at like 10 or even a little thicker. When they get down to around that, you probably want to think about changing them. You might get a little more out of them, but that's kind of, again, I'm talking about for optimum handling.
What about studded tires? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, studs are still available. I mean, certainly somewhere like Vancouver, I think studded tire would be a horrible thing to have because 99% of the winter is on a dry paved road. So you have to listen to that clacking sound of studded tires, and it's actually hard on the roads. I mean, there are legal requirements here, and in most jurisdictions, that studded tires have to be removed by a certain date. But if you live somewhere where there's continuous snow and ice on the road, studded tire is not a bad option because you won't really notice the stud, and certainly if there's ice, those certainly provide the ultimate grip.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, just really, it's really about assessing the driving, where you're going to be driving, what you're going to be doing with your car. Can you afford to leave it? If you want the ultimate, of course, in handling and flexibility, put the snow tires on. I mean, you can always count on getting wherever you go. It's a bit of an investment, as I said, with rims, but that's really the best way to go.
And always remember that getting going is the easy part in snow. Stopping is a bit more sporty.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, one thing we actually hadn't, you know, we just said final thoughts, but actually a couple of things just to get back into the conversation again is, you know, handling with snow tires is much better, like 4 snow tires, than you know, so it also helps you go around corners and braking. But of course, you need to be cautious when you drive in snow. I mean, that's, if I can just say a final thought, drive with caution, especially, you know, going uphill is one thing and accelerating is one thing, but it's when it comes to stopping, I mean, that's when you can really lose it. So, you know, be very cautious when you drive, going around corners. You never know when sometimes the road can be, you know, have really good traction. All of a sudden it just turns into a slushy ice pit, you know, and you can lose it really fast. So it's just really, really good to be cautious driving in the snow. It's happened
Yeah,
to me before. It's scary.
yeah. When your car turns into a bobsleigh, it tends to tighten a few things on your body.
Yes, it does. That's for sure.
So there you go. If you need some information on your tires, you want to check out your options, you need replacements or changeovers for tires, you want to get an inspection on your car, the guys to call are Pawlik Automotive. You can reach them at 604-327-7112 to book your appointment. Check out the website, pawlikautomotive.com. Hundreds of articles on there. The YouTube channel, Pawlik Auto Repair. Hundreds of videos on there. And thanks so much for watching and listening to the podcast. We really appreciate it. Thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for watching and listening, and happy and safe winter driving to you.